We don't want to match the... Look, got Converse on too.
Oh no.
Oh no. Real jokers, aren't you?
We are a couple of jokers.
We're here. Top 10, 2008.
Yep.
Probably a seminal moment for all of us in film.
Yeah. Oh yeah, probably.
Because it has the biggest comic book movie of that time.
Yeah.
It has just a lot of things.
A lot.
A lot of good comedy.
Yeah, a ton of it. Probably the last great comedy year.
Yeah.
Honestly, probably.
Well, just like banger after banger.
Yeah.
You know?
When it was actually marketable and like was successful.
Yeah.
They don't do well anymore.
I talked about this. This was the year I saw like so many movies in theaters. Good, bad, awful. Like it was just. Hey,
just a good year.
It's a couple of 16-year-olds being like, hey, let's, what do you want to do tonight? You want to go see a movie? Yeah, sure. You want to see Baby Mama? Yeah, sure. And I'm like, I don't remember much about Baby Mama. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. A lot of 5 out of 10s, 2.5s
Yeah.
this year. But our top 10, a lot of genres on this list.
Yeah.
And so what better way to start it than with a tie at number 10? This tie, you're going to probably be thinking like, oh, it's probably something and something. No, it's Tropic Thunder in the documentary Dear Zachary.
Just wide range of emotions.
Couldn't be farther from things. So Tropic Thunder is obviously a satirical look at actors and movie making and just like taking everybody to task. Obviously has Robert Downey Jr. in blackface, which is something probably shouldn't have been done.
It's got some fun cameos. Looking at you, Tom. And it really is most people just riffing on themselves.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like Jack Black is obviously Jack Black, but if Jack Black had like a drug problem, or and it's a movie of 2008, and that's where we'll leave it. So
it is a movie.
I took care of that for both of you, so we can start dancing.
Just to quickly talk about Dear Zachary, I don't think either of you guys seen it.
No.
Nope.
This documentary has
because that's your name.
I know. I feel like I have to, but then I see what it's about.
But it has a cult following in some respects too, in that people just found this documentary. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's basically a dude gets murdered and the woman that he had a baby with is involved in it somehow. And it is perhaps the saddest documentary you will ever see because the way the court systems work in Canada in relation to this woman, it just creates a very, very sad, and then it gets sadder, and then it gets sadder. And by the end, you're just a heap of just tears and just like angry, but you don't, you know why, but you're just like, I'm angry at the world. And sometimes it's hard to watch those types of movies, so I don't recommend it to people if you can't handle just crying because of how messed up the world is, but it's a great documentary.
Just sold me.
Yeah.
Double feature.
Yeah.
Tropic Thunder, Dear Zachary.
Sounds great.
Which one should you watch first?
Let's move to number 9. Number 9, we have what kicked off the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We have Jon Favreau directing Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., Jeff Bridges as a bad guy.
Yes, incredible.
Obadiah Stane, what a name.
Stane. At the beginning of his mumble phase, and Gwyneth Paltrow.
Gwyneth Paltrow, yes.
Terrence Howard for one Iron Man movie.
He got paid more than Robert Downey Jr. for that.
This movie, I
crazy.
don't know if people really understand how this movie should not have worked as well as it did. It is a lot of improvisation. It is a pretty small budget compared to what we have now. And it is a character who everyone was like, I don't know who this dude is. And it was kind of like a redemption for Robert. It was like kind of the moment that Robert Downey Jr. got to be like, I'm back, guys. It's still, you can see like the seeds of MCU, but kind of like, we don't really know what this is going to totally be, but it's still a lot of fun. And I think it does a lot of great things that movies now like do poorly.
Yeah.
So,
and it was proof that Marvel could take their B characters, because in the comics they always wanted Iron Man to be a thing, but they could never nail the story or they nail the character. And then Robert Downey Jr. comes along and he's like, I'm just gonna play me, and you're gonna like me as Tony Stark because that's who I am. And he just played himself, just exaggerated, which, actors probably borrow from wrestling a lot because wrestlers just play themselves up to a certain degree. Number 8, we have JCVD, which is another satirical movie, but it stars Jean-Claude Van Damme as Jean-Claude Van Damme, and he gets caught in a bank heist, and he has this existential crisis, and he's trying to figure out, like, am I the Jean-Claude Van Damme from the movies, or am I just some schlub? And it's really great. I'm surprised he didn't get nominated for an Oscar back then, because when I watched it, I was like, how is this dude so good at acting in this one specific movie, but then terrible in the rest?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's hard to understand, because in Friends, I remember when he did his thing in Friends, I was like, this dude can act? What?
Maybe he can only be versions of himself. Which
brings up to my point about Robert Downey Jr. is like, I think actors should lean more into themselves. Obviously, The Rock has leaned too much. So there is a balance you have to find. But this movie, if you like Jean-Claude Van Damme action movies and you want something that's sort of a change of pace, go watch this movie.
I didn't know it existed until right now.
Oh, you didn't know?
No.
I remember this was like...
Sounds great.
This is like the weird thing in high school. Everyone's like, you see JCVD?
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And like half the people knew it, half the people didn't. They're like, this guy from Street Fighter, we're going to watch this movie. And I'm like, okay. Yeah.
Darren Aronofsky's The Wrestler. If Requiem for a Dream didn't exist, this would be his best movie.
I agree.
And it's just a sad movie with a little glimmer of hope, which you don't get that often in an Aronofsky
And I think
movie.
that's why I respect Aronofsky a lot. I don't like his movies that much because they make me feel terrible. And this one also makes you feel terrible, but it's also his most like accessible one next to The Whale. It's like a really good drama.
Oh, Black Swan.
Black Swan is like the most accessible. You're right, Black Swan. Yeah. I forgot about that one. Or Noah. But
Gotta be Mother, actually.
Oh yeah, Mother. Everyone loves Mother.
So very accessible.
Mickey Rourke had a similar year with Robert Downey Jr., where it was like, oh my god, like Mickey Rourke is back, and then it didn't happen.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is that like Robert Downey Jr. and Mickey Rourke kind of having the same trajectory, and Mickey Rourke's just like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah,
but they did make Iron Man.
They did make Iron Man 2 together.
Oh yeah,
not good.
Weird.
Good parts, not a good movie.
For some reason, I don't know about what it is about The Wrestler that I feel like it's a movie that was released in 2012. Honestly, I don't know.
It was a little bit before.
It was like I think now you drop a movie like The Wrestler and it was big at the time. I think it would be huge if you did it like nowadays. And
Number 6, we have Pineapple Express.
Out of all the comedies this year, this is the one that's like. It's pretty much an action movie.
It's like you took a Cheech and Chong movie and then you made it Michael Bay influenced, and it's what you got here.
Yeah.
And
well, if you're gonna use movie analogies, it's like if Cheech and Chong met Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like Lethal Weapon.
Or Lethal Weapon. Or even 48 Hours.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of Eddie Murphy influence on it.
It is. It's a lot of fun. I know, like, some of us quote this on the daily and no one picks up on it. There's just so many little things that I love. And then Danny McBride obviously just blows up after this.
The Bill Hader intro to the movie.
That's so funny. Oh my God.
It brings such levity to such a dumb idea.
Yeah.
And also, it's probably one of the few starter movies that you don't need to get like high to actually enjoy. Like same like Big Lebowski, you don't really need to get high to enjoy that movie because you understand they put it front and center. It's like, this is kind of what it's like to be stoned.
Yeah. Well, and even the premise is like, or I think there's even a bit in the line where it's like, we are no good when we are stoned. Yeah. There's a whole like, what are you doing? Stop. We just need to reassess. It's just so good.
Number 5, we have Danny Boyle's Slumdog Millionaire. I think this is JD's number 1.
I don't know if it's my number. It might have been.
It was close.
It was close.
But you talk about it. You've talked about it a lot.
I do love Slumdog Millionaire. I know. I rewatched it recently. I know. It's cheesy. So much cheese. It's the cheesiest Boyle's ever been.
That's okay.
But it's so good.
It's so sweet and like entertaining and makes you feel good.
It makes me cry every time. I'm just a sad dad over here crying.
That awesome song. I forgot the name.
Jai-Ho.
Jai-Ho. That's right. Jai-Ho.
The music's great. Boyle puts a Boyle spin on it while also like having this very handheld feel to it. It's very cool. It is very 2000s. Yeah, it's just really good. And this movie that like blew up like over Christmas. It was like it's released on Christmas and it just like would not stop.
Nearly took the Oscars by storm too.
Kind
Well,
of. I mean, this is. I think someone said this. It was Slumdog Millionaire, like kind of the most successful kind of Oscar movie until like Everything Everywhere All at Once. But still, in comparison, Slumdog Millionaire was still a bigger hit than Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Now we get to number 4. You probably thought this was number 1, but it's not. And we're talking about The Dark Knight. I think some of the movies above this all 3 of the movies above it have aged better. But obviously, this is a movie driven by the performance of Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, obviously, without the writing is really good in this movie.
It was the best at the time for a comic book movie, by far. Mm-hmm. It's kind of, other movies are kind of...
The bones of it, the way it's shot, the way it looks, the pacing, everything like that. It still probably is the best.
Yeah.
You know? But again, it does, like, Batman is, like, barely in it. He's barely Batman.
We all know Bruce Wayne's a billionaire, just like running around in cape beating up poor people.
Yeah.
And that's part of like what they talk about in the Batman movie too. It's like part of the criticism is like, he's just a rich dude beating up poor people. It's like, so at some point you have to, that doesn't age well.
Yeah.
So
some of which that have, disabilities probably.
Yeah. He's probably disabled a few people. Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, but yeah. It's like, without Heath Ledger's performance, the whole movie crumbles.
Yeah.
So, props to Christopher Nolan for casting Heath Ledger when everyone was like, what are you doing?
I remember that very well.
Yeah.
It's like, look, that guy, really?
Also, though, man, it's just like ruined movies for a while.
It did.
That's how you know a movie's really great, is if it ruins movies forever and just ruins like people forever. That just like, God, we get it. You can do a good Joker impression. Just go away, please.
Number 3, we have WALL-E.
Oh, man.
Can you say WALL-E?
WALL-E.
It is probably Pixar's best.
It is.
Absolutely Pixar's best. It's like it's one of the best silent movies since sound became a thing in movies.
Until it
stops being a silent movie. But man, this movie, I don't know. I wasn't a kid at the time. I don't know how kids like this movie, if they do or not. Do they?
Eleanor loves
love
it.
They do? Okay.
Like, this is Eleanor's probably, if you asked her favorite movie.
Really?
If she knew
Okay.
the concept of a favorite movie, it would be this.
Wow, okay. Well, that's awesome, because I always
watched
thought
this-
it wouldn't be.
There was maybe a run of, like, we watched this for like 3 weeks straight once. Just over and over and over again. And I did not get tired of it. It's so good. Just, like, the boldness to be like, it's a silent movie. It's an environmental movie. Yeah. We're gonna end it with a Peter Gabriel song. Just like what? Also, there's gonna be like real people in it, and we're gonna rip off. We're gonna take Hello Dolly and put it in the middle of it, and we're just like, God, what were you guys on when you came up with this movie?
The crisis of the movie does not start until like almost 30 minutes into the movie. So
also, we're gonna heavily reference 2001: A Space Odyssey, and you're like, who is this movie for?
It's like a satire on everything, right? Well, back then, but also now.
So good.
Number 2, Burn After Reading, the movie about nothing, which is just a great premise. It's like if Seinfeld and Always Sunny had come across
That's such a great
some MacGuffin and we're trying to figure it out, and all the characters were idiots, including the people at the end of the movie who didn't know what happened or don't care.
It has the greatest ending to say, well, what do we learn from this? Don't do it again.
I don't know, sir.
Well, he's like, just don't do it again. Like, all right.
Got it. It blows my mind that the Coen brothers made No Country for Old Men the year before, which is humorless. Like there's nothing funny about it. It may be like a shot or two. And then they win all those Oscars. The year after, they make Burn After Reading, which is like just the dumbest movie. It's so dumb, and I love it so much. They're the goats because they can do both incredibly well.
George Clooney, Frances McDormand,
Brad Pitt,
John Malkovich,
J.K.
Simmons. I mean, the whole cast is stacked. Everyone hits it out of the park. The scene where George Clooney finds Brad Pitt in the closet. Amazing. His reaction sells it so much. The George Clooney revealing to Frances McDormand the thing he's built in the basement. It is just such a great comedy. But number 1 is perhaps a greater comedy because it's a dark comedy, and those seem to always age really well. In Bruges, Martin McDonagh's, I guess, his directorial debut.
Yeah.
If you don't count the short film.
Yeah.
Well, we don't.
Okay, then yes, it is.
And there are things in this that haven't aged well, but I think because the way the characters are, you don't really take offense to it because there are bad people.
Yeah, like it's
doing
bad people
things.
doing bad things. So.
Yeah, but I do also love Ray Fiennes being like just manic, but also at the same time having this lovely family.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
It's such a good like. That's what Martin's so good at. It's gonna be like, look at this crazy person, and we're gonna put him right in the back, like in the background is like this really nice thing happening.
Wow, what a year for movies!
What a year! I mean, not a great year, honestly. I think we remember it as great because of it when the hits were hitting. But gosh, if you looked at the other movies on the bad list, it's oof. There's one that we left off, Speed Racer.
It's true, yeah. We did leave it off. There is a cult following for Speed Racer.
It would have been number 11, wouldn't it?
I don't know. Probably not.
Number 11.
There were some other ones left off that I was mad didn't make the list, but at the same time...
Well, Speed Racer rules, so it's okay.
I tried to watch it once and I got sick because of how much was happening.
Freaking good.
Un esercito di prodi